Sony Alpha 7R3. This camera is a detail-devouring beast, snapping 42 million pixel shots faster than my brain can process breakfast. With battery life that laughs at all-day shoots and autofocus so sharp it could catch a flying pancake, even action shots look crisp. The menus are finally less confusing, but you will still need a degree to master all the tech crammed inside this thing. 9 out of 10. Sony Alpha 7 IV. The A7 IV is like your reliable pal who tries to keep up at trivia night. Good at almost everything, with high ISO wizardry and a comfy grip for hours of shooting. But the battery drains faster than my willpower in Mondays, and the video crops just when you want that glorious wide shot. Still, for pictures and video, it's a balanced all-rounder unless you absolutely must have the flashiest specs on the block. 8 out of 10. Sony A7S III. Built for videos that need to see in the dark, and I mean creeping around the fridge at midnight. Dark. The A7S III nails low-light performance and buttery smooth 4K footage, perfect for aspiring YouTubers and night owls. But with a pocket-scorching price and a sensor resolution that's all about movies, not megapixels, your stills will feel a little left out at the party. 6 out of 10. Sony Alpha A9. This camera is so lightning fast, it could catch your cat sprinting across the living room before you even blink, and the autofocus has the tenacity of a caffeinated squirrel chasing nuts. But if you are an average human who just wants family pics, all those pro features are complete overkill, unless your toddler moves at 20 frames per second. Plus, the touchscreen is still grumpy and video specs are nothing fancy for the price. So consider this a sports pro's sidekick, not a YouTube star. 5 out of 10. Sony A7R IV. With a jaw-dropping 61 megapixels, this camera packs more resolution than your neighbor's Ultra HD TV and still shoots bursts like a champ, making your vacation snaps sharper than your wit. However, prepare for your hard drive to cry because the file sizes are chunkier than holiday cheesecake. Who knew photography could be so data-heavy? Great for landscape fanatics with big muscles and big wallets, but total overkill for casual shooters allergic to storage solutions. 7 out of 10. Sony A1. The Alpha A1 is basically the camera Beyoncé would use to take selfies. 50 megapixels at 30 frames per second is just flexing, and it nails autofocus so well it could see through walls. Probably. It shoots 8,000 pixel video if you ever need to study every pore on your subject's face in excruciating detail, and it's faster than your morning caffeine rush, although your bank account is going to need serious therapy after this purchase. If you win the lottery or shoot both soccer finals and fashion shows, go wild. Mere mortals beware. 9 out of 10. Sony Alpha A7 III. The Alpha A7 III snaps crisp shots like it's bored of missing focus. Autofocus tackles eyeballs, faces, and small pets as if it's been training for Olympic gold. Its low-light performance humbles the flash, and battery life goes all day, so you can forget your charger like you forget birthdays. It's not a speed demon with video and menu quirks might have you mumbling, but for its price, it's a cheeky little legend. 8 out of 10. Sony Alpha 1 II. The Alpha 1 II is basically the show-off in Sony's family, firing 50 megapixel bursts so fast you'll think it's cheating. Its autofocus is smart enough to feel a bit psychic, and it handles every photo mission, from sports to weddings, without breaking a sweat or even pausing for drama. The catch. This marvel costs nearly double its closest rivals, so unless your credit card has a black belt, prepare to weep copious low-noise tears. 7 out of 10. Sony Alpha A9. The Alpha A9 shoots like a caffeinated ninja, 20 frames per second, silent shutter, and autofocus so clingy it won't let subjects escape even at the edge of the frame. Battery keeps chugging long after your memory card collapses and it finds faces quicker than your aunt spots celebrities at brunch. Forget video upgrades and prepare to battle heavy rivals, but for pure action, it's spicy. Almost too spicy for the faint of heart. 7 out of 10. Sony A7R VII. If resolution was a nightclub, the Sony A7R VII is the bouncer letting in 61 million pixels and turning away the weak lenses at the door. The autofocus here acts like your clingiest friend, recognizing faces, animals, maybe even your coffee mug, and sharp image quality stays legendary if you do not skimp on the glass. Menus might test your patience. You will not break any speed records, and with the price tag, your wallet may file a missing person report. 8 out of 10. Sony A7C. This lightweight full frame is what happens when Sony builds a camera for people who think every ounce counts, tossing a pancake body and a side-hinged screen at you like it's on Bake Off. Autofocus is clever enough to track your cat's existential crisis, and it basically never misses focus. But let's be honest, the features are so safe and boring that you could take it to a job interview. For content creators and travel shooters, it's a solid wingman. Anyone wanting cinematic vibes or big pro features may want to swipe left. 5 out of 10. Sony Alpha 9 III. Ever dreamed of catching lightning in a bottle? Or in this case, 120 frames per second with no blackout, laughing at sports shooters from less futuristic brands? The A9 III basically grabs focus like a caffeinated squirrel, bursts so fast your buffer wheezes, and features a crisp electronic viewfinder that could shame your living room TV. It's a high-speed pro tool, but costs almost as much as a used car. And if you just want casual snaps, you'll feel like bringing a bazooka to a bread knife fight. 9 out of 10. Sony Alpha 6700. This compact powerhouse tries to be the king of APS-C, but it's like someone put racing stripes on a shopping cart. Great features, wonky controls. Autofocus is sharper than your barista's comeback, but there's still no dedicated joystick, so you'll be tapping that touchscreen like it owes you money. It's good for travel and street snaps, but honestly, Sony could have made it less fiddly and more fun for enthusiasts to use. 7 out of 10. Sony FX3. Finally, Sony made a cinema camera that doesn't require selling your kidney, and it brings blockbuster 4K at 120 frames per second like popcorn at the movies. The autofocus is so good it'll track your over-caffeinated cat, but you're stuck with pricey memory cards and a viewfinder that's missing in action. So Instagram models, beware. If you shoot video, it's an absolute gem. If you want stills, grab a different snack. 8 out of 10. Sony Alpha 7CR. This pocket-sized overachiever packs 61 megapixels for images so sharp, you can see your regret about its price tag. Autofocus is just as clever as your smartphone, and it flips between full frame and APS-C like a DJ remix, but someone forgot to put 8K in the playlist. So video lovers, lower your expectations. For travel, landscapes, and flexing on photography forums, it's a wizard. Just leave the vlogging to TikTok teens. 9 out of 10. Sony RX1R3. The RX1R3 tries to woo you with stunning 61 megapixel shots and film presets, but its battery checks out faster than your date at a vegan barbecue. Plus, for the price, you could buy a small island. You get crisp image quality in a cute, tiny package. Just don't expect it to survive rain or last past brunch before needing a recharge. All the retro vibes and clever autofocus make moments magical, until you're left praying for power while composing your next masterpiece. 4 out of 10. Sony Alpha 7C. Sony's Alpha 7C II is like a compact Swiss Army knife for creators, sailing smoothly through portraits and action with reliably sharp 33 megapixel pictures. So lightweight, you might forget it's in your bag. The simplified controls and beginner-friendly design earn a wink, though the single card slot, missing joystick and grumpy viewfinder leave pros grumbling. Solid images and good stabilization keep it in the running, but it's more weekend warrior than battle-hardened pro. 7 out of 10. Sony FX3. The FX3 pulls off an impressive Hollywood hustle in the body of an indie filmmaker, packing supreme low-light magic, buttery smooth stabilization, and enough recording power to turn your spare room into a studio. Its built-in fan cools things off so your shoots outlast Death Valley's noon sun, and those customizable buttons will make even your coffee nervous. If you want pro video tools and fierce reliability without a muscle-building gym routine, this one's pure cinema in your palm. 9 out of 10. Sony Alpha ZV-1. The Sony Alpha ZV-1 struts in wearing a full-frame sensor like it's walking the red carpet, serving up juicy, low-light shots and buttery skin tones that'll make your vlogs look Hollywood even when you film in your closet. The AI-powered tricks and stabilized footage make filming solo a breeze, but switching modes is like finding your favorite sock after laundry day. Possible, but you'll dig a bit. It isn't cheap, but the video performance is hotter than your phone after too many TikToks. 8 out of 10. Sony Alpha A6500. Sony Alpha A6500 is the pocket rocket with 11 frames per second speed, a snappy autofocus, and stabilization so good you'll wonder if your shaky hands finally matured. The menu system is like a labyrinth designed by someone who hates your free time, and that tiny body cramps big hands faster than a handshake with the Hulk. But for travel, weddings, and spontaneous adventures, it's proof great things come in compact, confusing packages. 6 out of 10. Sony A6600. Sony A6600 brags about battery life longer than a triple espresso binge and autofocus that hunts faster than your cat chasing a fly. The design feels a little stale, and the controls are as awkwardly placed as the last slice of pizza at a party, leaving you fumbling if you shoot quickly. Still, image quality and reliability save it from mediocrity, though it's less innovation, more competent copy-paste. 5 out of 10. Sony Alpha 7R II. This full-frame legend flexes a monstrous 42-megapixel sensor and 5-axis stabilization, ready to turn your Instagram feed into a gallery if only the battery would stop napping on the job. Button chaos and menus are pure labyrinth, so if you love a good treasure hunt every time you want to change a setting, it's got you covered. But pace yourself if shooting 4K or you'll be sweating over overheating warnings faster than your coffee cools. Amazing image quality and autofocus nearly saved the day, but Sony's refusal to give you decent battery life earns a slow clap. 6 out of 10. Sony Alpha 7R. The lightweight body and 36 megapixels make you feel like a marathon runner clutching a bazooka, Sharp shots and tech galore, plus you can stuff almost any lens onto it with an adapter and blast away. Sadly, Sony packed a really noisy shutter and lossy raw compression, meaning your photo session turns into a percussion concert and your editing dreams get squashed. If only this camera didn't shake your images and your nerves, it might be a star, but the lack of electronic shutter puts it firmly in timeout. 5 out of 10. Sony Cyber-shot DSC-RX100 VII. Pocket-sized genius with a 200mm zoom. This tiny beast lets you snap wildlife or sports like a caffeinated paparazzo, and those autofocus skills are seriously sticky for faces. The video is eye-slicingly sharp, and it finally rocks a microphone port, yet Sony still forgot the ND filter and gave you a battery so feeble it makes a phone look robust. Brilliant performance and versatility make up for a wallet-punching price and questionable ergonomic choices. 8 out of 10. Sony ZV-1 II. The Sony ZV-1 II is like your vlogging fairy godmother, magically packing a wide 18 to 50mm lens and sweet 3-capsule microphone for crispy audio. The touch controls feel as slick as scrolling through your favorite memes, and charging via USB-C means you do not have to hunt your desk for dongles anymore. But the stabilization still wobbles like my old bicycle, so if you vlog on the go, prepare for a little motion sickness. 8 out of 10. Sony a6000. The Sony a6000 is like the uncle who peaked in high school. Fast autofocus, sharp 24-megapixel sensor, and so light you could juggle it with your keys, all for a great price. Its lack of 4K and no touchscreen can feel stuck in the past, like getting a flip phone in 2025, but you still get access to Sony's awesome lens buffet? For beginners, the value is unbeatable. Just do not expect it to win any dance battles with modern cameras. 7 out of 10. Sony Nex6. The Sony Nex6 tries so hard to look cool with its OLED viewfinder, speedy burst mode, and full HD movies, but its low-light performance is as moody as a teenager refusing to come out of their room. The menu system is quirky enough to warrant a search party, yet the build quality and sharp APS-C sensor rescue it from total obscurity. Buy it secondhand if you love adjusting dials and don't mind living in the past. 5 out of 10. Sony Cyber-shot DSC-RX100 VII. This tiny powerhouse squeezes a massive 24 to 200mm zoom lens into a body so small it could get lost in your backpack. But do not let the size fool you. The autofocus is snappy, and the shots come out crisp enough to make your phone jealous. The pop-up viewfinder is a neat party trick, yet battery life is about as long as your attention span on a Monday morning, so bring a backup if you plan to shoot more than your lunch. If you want stealthy street photography or vacation snaps without lugging a suitcase full of gear, this little Sony is a smooth operator, but it is not exactly cheap for a compact camera. 7 out of 10.